Hey guys, before I start, I want to thank Shannon. Thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate that. And I got my vacuum cleaner. Hey guys, how you going? Okay, let's get into this. From Conspiracy Bots said most Hollywood films have two plots, a dumbed down one for the public and a hidden one, using occult symbolism for the enlightened. This book gives an excellent analysis of the esoteric messages in Hollywood for anyone who has eyes to see and ears to hear. If you've got people who are still asleep, guys, maybe try buying them this book. I don't know if it'll work, but look, I wouldn't mind reading this book. That might wake people up. It says, esoteric Hollywood, sex cults and symbols in film like no other book before it. This work delves into the deep, dark and mysterious undertones hidden in Tinseltown's biggest films. Esoteric Hollywood is a game changer in an arena of tabloid-populated titles. After years of scholarly research, Jay Dyer has compiled his most read essays combining philosophy, comparative religion, symbolism and geopolitics and their connections to film. Readers will watch movies with new eyes, able to decipher on their own as the secret meanings of cinema are unveiled. Now, this is really interesting. And Patrick Henningsen, filmmaker and founder of the news website, says, Dyer stands on the shoulders of some of the great cultural commentators, and his unique treatise brings together an impressive ensemble of film, politics, occult symbology, social engineering, conspiracy, and underpinned with the kind of academic and philosophical discipline not previously seen in this genre of study. Esoteric Hollywood will eventually become the de facto textbook for anyone researching power and influence in film and media. This would be very good to, I believe this would be a very good book to wake people up, and even in fact for ourselves. Okay, and here is a story by Nick Holt. Hypersexual social media content is having negative impacts on young children. Increasingly, human dignity was key to protecting young children from hypersexualized online content, Real Talk Managing Director Paul Ninnis said. Research by Real Talk demonstrated children as young as 12 had shared nude images of themselves, resulting in those pictures being shared online without their consent. I've had a parent crying on my shoulder at parents' night because their daughter in Year 7 has passed on images of herself to her boyfriend in Year 9, Mr. Ninnis said. It happened because she was vulnerable, because she was on her device late at night and the boyfriend had been hassling her, and she just, in many ways, gave up. Mr. Ninnis said the negative effects of sharing this kind of content were far-reaching. The research around this is trending poorly for young people, unfortunately. The negative effects would be that in children there seems to be a trend where both intellectual development and also psychological happiness is trending downwards with increases in technology use. Broadly speaking, as young people use more and more technology, it is not improving their learning. In fact, it's showing that often negative impacts on learning and also negative impacts on psychological well-being. Now this goes into, I keep saying children should not be on the internet. And I believe that is true. It must be said, though, that this doesn't mean every child who uses a device is going to be affected in a terrible way, but the trend and correlation is that with large amounts of tech use, it can really affect the development of a young person. In some ways, their peace and happiness. Can you imagine, like, being a young person, sending, say, something that was inappropriate to your boyfriend, but it ends up all over the internet? That would destroy a young person. Even if it was in their own mind, it would still destroy them. Mr. Ninnis said digital use was still a new phenomenon and arguably one that people were not sufficiently equipped to deal with responsibly. Tech use varies and there's varied research. In some ways, the research is probably only early days because the increase in digital use is a relatively new phenomenon and there hasn't been a lot of longitudinal and oh my God, longitudinal studies, he said. Technology is not bad, it brings a lot of good things. However, overuse and misuse is where the problem is. Look, I even know this with myself. In my talks, I like to use the analogy of a swimming pool. A swimming pool is a good thing. It brings us lots of good times, lots of joy and lots of happiness. But a pool with no fence? My goodness, I'm sorry guys, I'm having trouble reading today. But a pool with no fence can be dangerous and lead to a lot of bad things. We need to think about technology like that. Exposure rates of pornography in children are extraordinarily high. 20% of Australian teenage males say they started watching porn at age 8 or younger. Oh my goodness, no! Oh, this is going to destroy the kids. Mr. Nees said the passing on of consensual images of a sexual nature among minors was now legally deemed as child pornography. Every week in school there's sexting happening. High school would say that the passing on of child photos, which is what sexting is, passing off illegal content of naked young people, minors, is happening every week in Australia, he said. Oh, this is bad. This is really, really bad. Speaking to parents and teenagers about that can help bring it into the reality of what it is, he said. It's such a common thing that young people don't think about the repercussions and don't think about it in proper legal terms, Mr. Nees said. At its core, Mr. Nees said the problem of young people sharing nude images and engaging in sexting was a human dignity issue. At its core, it's a personal issue. There are legal and psychological ramifications, but the most important factor in this that it is a human dignity issue. It's looking for validation, love, God, identity, self-worth. It's a lack of solid personal identity, a lack of solid understanding of self that allows people to go down these paths. In our work and our encouragement of parents is not just to create safeguards, but to increase the self-worth and the understand of dignity in young people and increase the character and essentially the cardinal virtues that increase the things that underpin healthy decisions and healthy interactions with young people. It's about decreasing the negative effects of digital media and increase the virtues in young people. Okay, does anyone think schools started this with young people by requiring a lot of young people to have access to learning? But that opens things for, I believe schools need to go back to pen and paper and teaching. That's it. Not computer stuff. But that's just my thoughts. That's my opinion. Guys, if you think otherwise or you have other thoughts on this, please let me know down in the comments below. And here we have, by the RockefellerFoundation.org, Reset the Table, meeting the moment to transform the US food system. I think they'll try the world. America faces a hunger and nutrition crisis unlike any this country has seen in generations. Today, 14 million children are missing meals on a regular basis, a statistic that's 3 times worse than the Great Recession and 5 times worse than before the COVID-19 pandemic, as parents, who often skip meals themselves in order to prioritise feeding their kids, can no longer protect their children from hunger. It's even worse for Latino and Black families, who have seen rates of nutrition insecurity spike to 25% and 30% respectively. In the wealthiest country in the world, this is simply unconscionable. In many ways, COVID-19 has boiled over long-simmering problems plaguing America's food system. What began as a public health crisis fueled an economic crisis, leaving 33% of families unable to afford the amount or quality of food they want. School closures put 30 million students at risk of losing the meals they need to learn and thrive. School nutrition professors like Michael Gasper in Holman, Wisconsin, had to act quickly to keep providing children with the meals they need. As he told Food Corps, Friday, March 13th was the last day before schools closed. Our team had conversations late on Friday, then again over the weekend, and we started implementing the plan on Monday. We've just kept tweaking and changing as we go. By late April, his team was serving more than 10,000 meals a week to students in the district, including breakfast, lunch, and lunch via curbside pickup. Now schools like his are facing major financial and operational challenges as they approach an unprecedented school year in which even more students will need school meals. Against the backdrop of both challenge and heroism, the Rockefeller Foundation sought out diverse perspectives on what this pandemic has revealed about the US food system and how we can collectively meet this moment. I love how they think they're heroes. This spring and summer we brought together more than 100 leaders and experts, a bipartisan group including senior officials who previously served in Republican Democratic presidential administrations. It wouldn't happen to be the deep state, would it? From the fields of health, agriculture, nutrition, education, private industry, environment, national security, civil rights and social justice. Oh dear God. This paper draws directly on those rich discussions to lay out a framework for a change towards an equitable, nourishing and sustainable US food system. Okay, look, I can already see, I have read a little bit of this, and I can already see that there's a reason why all the food processing plants are having troubles right now, and that is to feed into this. Okay. The images of the past few months have been shocking and heartbreaking. Families out of work, which they did. These people have pretty much done this. Families out of work and newly struggling because of this thing here. Right? So they've caused this. Problem, reaction, solution. This is what it is. This is exactly what this is. Families out of work and newly struggling with nutrition insecurity wait in long car lines for a day's or a week's worth of food. School nutrition professionals wearing whatever protective equipment they or the schools could provide, putting their own health at risk to oh dear God. To meet the rising demand for food in their communities. Meat and poultry plant workers suffering disproportionate rates of COVID-19 infections, while facing mandatory return to work orders, and farmers, with none of their usual buyers in a position to purchase, out of economic necessity, dumping millions of gallons of milk, onions, beans, eggs, and more. Again, I say it's caused by, okay? Problem, reaction, solution. These images tell a powerful story of the economic and public health consequence of poor nutrition, with 94% of deaths from COVID among individuals with the underlying condition, the majority of which are diet-related. They tell an equally powerful story of a food system struggling to respond to the disruptions wrought by the virus. Americans spent more in restaurants and on groceries in 2018, and the sudden closure of dining out options was accompanied by a huge spike in demand at grocers. People shouldn't be eating out all the time. What happened to making your own food? I don't get it. Anyway, food distributors set up to pack, haul and deliver 50-pound sacks of flour and cheese to commercial customers couldn't quickly pivot to package 2-pound sacks of flour and 8-ounce packages of cheese for purchase by private customers in grocery stores. Why? Tons of food intended for restaurants and food services were destroyed, while grocery store shelves emptied from a frenzy of panic buying by those in a position to afford it. Why was the food intended for restaurants thrown out? Destroyed. Again, they're creating the problem, and now they're coming up with a solution. And that is to control the food. They're going to transform the US food system. Many people could not afford such buying sprees, of course, with 37 million Americans already food insecure and tens of millions of Americans furloughed or fired. The effects of the virus in terms of health and unemployment were disproportionately experienced by Black, Indigenous and people of colour. For example, those aged 45 to 54, Black and Hispanic death rates are at least 6 times higher than for whites, with 40% of Americans unable to access $400, even in times of emergency. There was an explosion in nutrition insecurity in states and neighbourhoods across the country. Grace, a food bank in Summit, New Jersey, was soon feeding 515 families compared to 100 a month earlier. Demand at Feeding South Florida, the largest food bank in that agriculturally rich state, soared 600%. Navajo County, Arizona, is projected to have a nutrition insecurity rate of 26.2%. So they say. So they say. Don't forget, this is the RockefellerFoundation.org, okay? Every measure of child hunger rose to levels not seen in decades. In April, the US Census found that a third of households with children couldn't afford to buy the amount or quality of food they wanted. So this goes more for growing the food yourself again. This is what this leads me to think. A number that continues to hover around 28%. In 16.5% of households with children, parents are directly reporting their children are not getting enough food, meaning that nearly 14 million children are going hungry on a regular basis. Black and Hispanic households with children are nearly twice as likely to be struggling with food as similar white families, and roughly 3 times as likely to report that their children are not eating enough. These shocking rates of hunger and nutrition insecurity have direct and indirect health-related costs, estimating for 2014 to be $160 billion a year. Hang on. I'm confused as to whether to keep going down here and then up here. The food system in this country is in many ways a marvel. Designed to address widespread malnutrition in the wake of the Great Depression, it met the needs of a desperate nation. Over decades, the system expanded and innovated in ways that made it possible to produce, transport and distribute food to reach across America. An incredible variety of food is available year-round, and the system is generally safe from foodborne infection, especially considering its vastness and complexity. And yet the food system's evolution also had consequences. The Green Revolution, which the Rockefeller Foundation played a role in seeding and scaling, was effective and successful in addressing calorie-based hunger and averting mass starvation. But it left a legacy that we can see clearly today, including overemphasis of staple grains at the expense of more nutrient-rich foods, reliance on chemical fertilizers that deplete the soil, and overuse of water. The US food system's very specific kind of efficiency has also brought rigidity and cost impacts on human and environmental health, alongside high levels of wasted food. This is why we got to grow it ourselves. You don't waste food that way. Disparities in access to healthy food and lack of affordability of nutritious food compared to less healthy alternatives were outcomes of where agricultural subsidies and supports were targeted, and where research and development dollars were spent. Poor nutrition, driven by many factors, including lack of access to healthy food, insufficient incomes to afford high-quality diets, and targeted marketing of unhealthy food, is now the leading cause of poor health in the United States. Poor nutrition causes more than 500,000 deaths each year, with a disproportionate impact on Indigenous people, people of colour, and low-income people in both urban and rural communities. 3/4 of American adults are now either overweight or obese, and nearly half suffer from diabetes or pre-diabetes. Even our nation's security and economic well-being have been compromised by poor nutrition and its related consequences. 71% of today's young adults aged 17 to 24 cannot qualify for military service, with overweight and obesity being the main drivers of disqualification. Again, they've caused it. They even admitted it. Yep, the Green Revolution, which the Rockefeller Foundation played a role in seeding and scaling, was effective and successful in addressing calorie-based hunger and averting mass starvation, but it left a legacy we can see clearly today: the overemphasis of staple grains at the expense of more nutrient-rich foods. Exactly. And I really don't want to read all of this, because I do believe it is propaganda. That's exactly what I think this is, and it's problem, reaction, solution. They've created a problem. Now we have the reaction where people can't feed themselves, maybe a bit here and there. I know it happens. Look, I am one of these people that cannot just afford to run out and grab whatever I need whenever I need it. Sometimes I can't. I was lucky yesterday that I had enough to buy a vacuum cleaner. Oh my God. But anyway, Okay, what's this? 63% of Hispanic workers and 54% of black workers reported earning low wages even before COVID struck. Is that because of the jobs they're choosing, or like, I don't know. I really don't know. Or is that more propaganda? I don't know. I know there's a lot of poor people out there, of all colours and creeds and everything, you know. Yeah, I don't know. An opportunity. Over the years, numerous attempts have been made, some successful, others not, to leverage the strengths and productive innovations in the food system and to address those aspects of the system that negatively impact the health of people and their communities, as well as the health of our planet. Here we go. This is going to turn into climate change, isn't it? Isn't it? Here we go. The best thing you can do is grow your own. I'm serious. And start eating like food you have to cook properly, you know, yourself. And this is where I think things are going. What else have I got? I'll just have a quick read over again and see what I can come up with. Yep, like I said before, guys, this is, I agree with the food is medicine bit, right? But not the way they want to do it. I really think you need to take it back into your own hands. Yeah, because a lot of this they've done. They caused it. And, you know, schools, they want to get right into schools, and I'd be very, very careful. Reinvigorate regional systems as part of a better balanced, more sustainable, more resilient nationwide food chain. Invest in equity and shared prosperity. It's part of Agenda 21. Ensuring affordability. Capabilities need to achieve these shifts. What capabilities do you need? Because, look, they talk about experts, right? Where am I? Where did I see it? Oh, it's back here somewhere. Based on dialogues with over 100 experts and practitioners. I don't trust the experts. And I certainly am looking twice at doctors at the moment too. How about you? Okay, let's go back to where we were. To achieve these shifts, the shifts articulated above will require focus, collective action over the long term. To realise them, the food system needs to strengthen and activate a set of cross-cutting capabilities that to date have not been fully realised system-wide. Relentlessly applying true costing accounting, activating the power of public purchasing, investing coordinated federal, state and local capabilities and emergency response. Capability 4, modernised data and technology platform. That's all you need, really. Oh, this is Agenda 21. Capability 5, unify diverse actors into a movement. What is that? Oh, they're acting like experts. Oh my God. Oh, and they're gonna like the food system does not promote healthy people, a healthy planet, or an equitable economy. Well, that's because of your mates in the corporations making cheap food. They've caused this. Oh my God. Over the coming months, the Rockefeller Foundation will engage with leaders in the many intersecting fields the food system touches to strengthen efforts to address the challenges. They look forward to hearing your voice in the collaborative and sustained effort needed to reset the table and transform the US food system. Stand up now. Stand up and say no thank you. I would be looking at growing my own food. Because if they control the food, they control you. Anyway, you can let me know what you think of all this down below, guys. This is insane. I'm also thinking of having a call-in show this week on Saturday. Friday night, UK, US time, Saturday, Australia time. I'm thinking of having your thoughts on what's going on. Your thoughts. And look, if the channel goes, it goes. I can't do anything about that. I'm expecting it to, because this is what they did last time. They started dropping subs before they deleted. So be aware, anyone who's dropping subs real quick, just be wary of, I don't know. Anyway, guys, you can let me know what you think of all this down below. And I hope you have a good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay, guys. Bye.